Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There's new music from Dee-Snider. It's called I Gotta Rock Again, and it's from his new album Leave a Scar, and we are honored to have with us today Dee-Snider. Welcome to Rock and Metal Revival.
Hey guys, great to talk to you, and pretty damn excited that this record is finally coming out.
Oh, Dee, we had a chance to listen to a little bit of the new album, Leave a Scar, and we love it. To be honest with you, we're totally blown away and loved your last album, For the Love of Metal. I just need to know, is this record an extension of that last release? Because they sound like they're, joined together a little bit.
Well, first of all, it's the first time I've worked with a producer on consecutive records. Jamie Josta really showed me the promised land with For the Love of Metal, and I wasn't even a second thought when I decided to do a new album that I would reach out to Jamie. And we were playing with calling it For the Love of Metal too, but then Napalm Records, my label, begged us not to because they've already got For the Love of Metal Live. They said, please, you're confusing everybody. Can you give it its own title? So we did.
Nice. Now, have you found the heavier music? Because this is a little heavier than Twisted Sister stuff. Is it resonating with Twisted Sister fans as strong as everybody else? You know what? I mean, it's a mixed bag. You know as well as me, a lot of the older fans are sort of stuck in their ways, and you can't get them. They're the ones screaming, "There's no good music anymore." Mm-hmm. Sorry, Twisted fans, but you got to open your eyes and ears and get out of your houses. There's plenty of good music out there, but some of them are, more open to, changing with the times and new ideas, and not that I'm, breaking ground with this record, but it's certainly well connected to the contemporary metal world for sure.
Mm-hmm. Dee, with what I've heard off this latest release, I hear a lot of different types of metal, and I hate to categorize metal in any way, but was it your intent to try to reach out to different audiences in the metal crowd with this release?
You know what? Yes. In a word, yes. Because, and it's funny because you would think that I would be the one sort of holding back to the more classic style, and Jamie Josta, because he's a hardcore guy, would be pushing ahead. But it was the exact reverse. Jamie calls me OGD because I kept pushing to be newer and more contemporary and more heavier and hardcore, and he kept going, D, come on, you don't want to just leave all your old fans behind. This is where you come from. And not that I don't love, the classic metal stuff. I just, people say, what's energizing you? It's the newer sounds, younger musicians. It's just fun to see younger fans getting into my stuff. Really fires me up.
Now, I got the chance to watch some of the video, and who's in your band? Because your guitarists are killer, dude.
And I'm glad you said that because they are a band. It started as sidemen. Dee-Snider needed a backup band to go out and do For the Love of Metal. And then somewhere, I don't know, first because we were out there for a couple of years on and off, and it was my wife who saw it first, Suzette. She's been with me since day one. You probably know, 45 years, and the costumes, the makeup, the hair, the Bone logo, it's all her. The little 5'3" Italian behind the crazy guy on stage. And one day she came back after a show and said, "Man, your band kicks ass." And she said, "You're a band." And I looked at them. I said, "Yeah, they really are a band." And yeah, we really do. It had it wasn't just backup guys. It had become a band over the course of a year. So when it came time to do this record, I called the guys: Charlie Belmore, guitar; Nicky Belmore, drums, and also my engineer and mixer, amazing talent; Russ Pizzuto on bass, and Nick Taz Petrino on guitar. And these guys, they just shred. It's crazy, and I love it. I love how aggressive they play.
Well, Dee, we've mentioned Jamie Josta a couple of times, and I love Hatebreed, and I just wondered, how did you guys get hooked up together? I mean, because it just it sounds like a great story, because these last two albums have been incredible.
Well, it really is a great story, because I knew Jamie, and I liked Hatebreed, but I wouldn't imagine that he would help me create two of the best albums of my career, quite honestly, at this point in my life. And I was doing his podcast, and he says, "I have a challenge for you." And I said, "What?" He said, "I challenge you to do a contemporary metal record." I said, "Jamie, I would love to, man, but I follow the contemporary metal scene. My kids are all metalheads. Go to the shows with them. I love it, but I just don't know how to do that. Where do I fit?" He goes, "I know where you fit. I will produce this record." And I said, "I accept your challenge." Now I'm looking at the singer for Hatebreed, going, "What is this going to turn into? Is he going to turn me into Hatebreed 2 or try to?" And not even for a second did he try to do that. He really had studied Dee-Snider. He really saw my value and appreciated and respected me, and he brought me to that sweet spot, which it really is, where I could be who I am, but at the same time connect with a newer audience as well.
Nice. Now I got to go back to like the 1990s. I discovered this band called Widowmaker that had this guy singing. He sounded like the Twisted Sister guy, but he had some real serious balls going on here. And that album, Blood and Bullets, man, whoa, what a great album! And it's just a shame that I can't find it on iTunes now.
Yeah, that one is currently like in no man's land. We're trying to. The Widowmaker guys, we're all friends. We're trying to put together like a box set. There was a couple albums. Stand By for Pain was even heavier. And early on, you said heavier than Twisted Sister. You wouldn't you could necessarily expect this from me. But if you really know me, and you're at no fault for not, I'm an OG metalhead. Jamie calls me OGD because I always wanted to be heavier. And the guy with the Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Grand Funk, Blue Cheer albums, the day they came out, I mean, I was in the stores buying them, and it was called hard rock. But I was been with metal through it all. I love metal, but I also loved glitter rock, and that was the early '70s things: Bowie, T-Rex, Alice Cooper, bands like that, and New York Dolls. And Twisted Sister was a New York Dolls inspired band. You've seen the documentary, anybody? We were around for 10 years. The band existed before it broke in '84. So they were a New York Dolls band, and I loved that stuff, and they asked me to sing for them. And so I sort of brought my love of metal and my love of glitter rock to the band, and as a songwriter created, what people would call hair metal, even though I hate the term, but, that's what they call it. And but I'm a metalhead. You listen to songs like Under the Blade, Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Burn in Hell. You can definitely hear that heavy metal that's in my blood as a songwriter. So Widowmaker got heavier, and I actually stopped writing music after the second Widowmaker album. That was 25 years ago. This is the first album I've written songs for in 25 years because I just felt there wasn't a place for me until Jamie Johnston showed me where that place was.
Outstanding. Dee, one of the tunes I'm really loving is called Crying for Your Life. Can you talk about that song a little bit?
Yeah, now I'm going to say not every millennial and whatever the generation is after Millennial Z or whatever they're calling it, but too many of them are not willing to take responsibility for their own actions. We seem to have generations coming up, and by the way, I blame myself as a dad. Okay, so it's on me too for raising kids that the minute things go south, they quickly point fingers. It wasn't my idea. I didn't want to do that. They want an out. And I come from a generation, as my wife's family is in the mob, and their saying is, you do the crime, you do the time. I mean, you get caught, or whatever it is, you stand your ground, you take your licks, and you own it. And I think that's something that's lost now with a lot of the younger, when I say younger, I'm talking about 40-somethings, okay? But a lot of younger people, the younger than me, that ability to just sort of own your excrement, for lack of a better word, is lost, and that's what that song's about.
Now, is this new album, Leave a Scar, coming out on vinyl? I hope, because
Yeah, there are. Oh my God, you guys are crazy about vinyl. I mean,
love
I
vinyl.
love it. It's so funny to me though, because as a guy who grew up on vinyl, when we got cassettes and then we got CDs, we're like, and then we got the iTunes, the iPod. We're like, this is the most awesome thing. We don't gotta lug around all these albums anymore. We can take it everywhere.
Yep.
You guys are like, oh man, we want the old days. So we've got like, my God, the colors of vinyl that are available. You go to the martyrstore.net, for example, and there's a lot of, Napalm's got them, but you go online, you will find packages, pre-orders, all kinds of vinyl offerings. People love it, and that's great. My kids all love vinyl too.
I love vinyl because of the artwork.
I will admit that's a missed thing.
Yeah.
And I get my daughter, she's the most shy. She's the most brutal and heaviest of all my kids as far as metal goes, and she's always sending me Dad's hardcore playlists. And I listen to them, and it's what keeps me up to date. But because it's on the phone, it's not like you used to sit with the album cover and know the song, know the band. So I'll listen to stuff, go, oh, that's great, but rarely will I pull my phone out and go, open it up, scroll, who was that, because it's not that easy to do that. So that is something that's lost, and I do miss that.
And you got a great album cover on this one, too, man. Reminds me of Strangeland kind of thing.
Well, there was a little of that. Marcello, the artist who painted it, and he does a lot of Slayer covers, a lot of metal album covers. We talked to him about doing the cover, and we told him the title. We played him some music, and and he just said, I know what I want to do. And the next day, that's inspiration when an artist sends you a painting the next day and goes, what do you think of this? And definitely there was the Strangeland influences in there. It's one of those covers that you look and, I always had covers either with my logo on it or my picture. But this is really a metal cover where you look at it and you study it and you say, what does this mean? And the only change I made, because it's very powerful, it's very dark. There's a scarred heart with hooks in it, this Gothic building, and there's blood pouring out of the heart down these stairs, really heavy. I said, Miss Marcello, you got a door in that heart. You got to put some light coming through that door, because I believe there is hope. I am proof that there is hope. We go through life can be tough, but I really believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not an oncoming train. Okay, so there is hope, and he said, you know what? I agree. And so if you look at it, you see light coming out of the door in that scarred heart.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Dee, I've always, for a lot of years, always hoped that we get the chance to talk to you, because I wanted to thank you for making the whole world take a double take about their opinions of people in the metal culture. When you sat down and took on the PMRC in the congressional hearings, it kind of let people know that all of us in denim and long hair actually could think and speak for ourselves. And I've always wanted to thank you for that.
First of all, you're welcome, and thank you for appreciating that. I will tell you the truth. At the time, I felt a little abandoned by the record industry, by the other bands who didn't speak out or step forward. And this is a situation, the song Stand on the album, and where the title Leave a Scar comes from. This is a situation I still feel we deal with today, that people just sit on the sidelines and don't speak out. And there's times where you have to. I get that, entertainers and athletes and, all people, shouldn't necessarily be all politics and all political, all social causes all the time. It gets boring. Sometimes you just want to rock and have fun,
Yeah.
And believe me, but sometimes you need to step up. And that's why when they asked me to testify, I seized the opportunity, because I thought I was going to show them exactly what you said. We're not idiots. You're completely misjudging us, and just because we like this aggressive, intense, fun, loud music doesn't make us somehow less than you or bad people. If anything, it's proven we're better people for it. And Psychology Today called me to ask me why, and I said that's simple, because people need to release dark emotions. Hate, anxiety, depression, heartbreak, sorrow. All these emotions need to be released. And heavy metal allows that release. And afterwards, we feel better because of it. That's why we're better adjusted people, because we let it out. Others hold it in. And then they go and kill their families.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was mentioned Strangeland a little earlier. Now, that movie was so twisted, and, well, with you in it, how can it not be? But you did a great job in that. Is there going to be a Strangeland 2?
Thank you for that. And for those who don't know, it was the first